Hey everybody, Coach Ryan here with LP Endurance and Coach Juno in the background. We wanted to give you a quick recap over the last 12 weeks of our last training block and also a bit of a preview and what to look forward to in the next 12 weeks coming up as we head into triathlon season. And so I wanted to share just a few quick updates on, like I said, things we've been working on, but also what we're going to look forward to in this training block, what the type of training will look like, and all those things. And so I'll give you just a little bit of a recap on what we've been working on. First off, high five on getting it done. It was a tough winter training wise and with the tough weather. And so good on you for staying consistent and getting the work done. And my hot take on this is I really believe February to April and the types of things we've been working on in that time frame are the most important weeks and the most important focus of the entire year. This is what's going to set you up really well for your whole race season, now that you've built that strong and efficient base in training. And so our swim focus has been on building consistency, improving our technique and our efficiency. Bike focus has been raising the roof on power with those hard VO2 max sessions, as well as our aerobic capacity with the more sustained, longer efforts during our long rides. And then on the run, we've created a strong and efficient base of durability and speed. So when I talk about base with running, I'm not just talking about literal base miles. I'm talking about building a well-rounded foundation of efficiency and speed. And so the vibe from this block is maybe we started as a Dodge Ram that it gets you where it needs to go. It's got a big engine, but maybe it's not doing it super efficiently. And hopefully now we're feeling more like a Porsche EV where we've still got really high power, we've got a lot of capacity, but we can go a lot farther with the same amount of effort. We've become a lot more efficient, and we probably look good while we're doing it too. And so where are we now? This next training block is going to lead us into Ironman 70.3 Muskoka, and there are also several other goal races for Ontario athletes around that late June, early July time frame. Of course, events like Tremblant and Muscleman and things like that. And so our goal over this next training block is to start to leverage that well-rounded foundation we've built over the last several weeks, to prepare us for the more specific demands of race day. And so, why were we working on those really high power intervals on the bike? And why are we running 400s at mile pace in March? Well, the reason I think you'll find over these next several weeks is our 70.3 efforts and our output will feel a lot easier and we'll be doing them at a higher output. It's much easier to build out your endurance when you've already built a really efficient engine, and then you can just layer upon that with the race specific miles. And then those race specific adaptations, actually, from a physiological standpoint, come a lot faster than the big foundational elements that we've been working on over the last 12 weeks. So, whether it be the race specific distance or the terrain or even the weather conditions, those adaptations come a lot faster to the body than what we've been working on over the last several weeks with building our strength and our efficiency and our endurance. And so, a quick overview of this block. By race day, our goal is to be feeling strong, feeling skilled with the kind of renewed skill focus we've been prioritizing. We're going to be efficient and durable, and we'll be controlled and confident so that we're ready to perform under pressure on race day. Our swim focus over this block is to, again, prioritize consistency, aiming to get to the pool at least 3 times per week. I find that's the minimum to feel like you can start making improvements and progress in the pool. But maybe if your swim is a focus or a weakness of yours, 3 is probably the minimum. And so one missed swim here and there, not a big deal. But missing a whole week of swimming can mean it will take several weeks just to catch you back up with your feel for the water and getting you back to where you were. So prioritizing consistency. While that we're doing that, we're going to be spending a little bit less time on drills, but that means it's really important to always have that mental focus on our technique and our efficiency throughout the workout. And so we'll continue working on a little bit on those short, high speed intervals like 25s and 50s, but we're primarily going to be working on building out our distances and getting efficient and smooth over longer intervals in the pool. And you can also look forward to some time trials this training block too. I'm a big fan of throwing in some pool time trials here and there, not because I actually care that much about the outcome, like the time of your time trial, but just going through the mental practice of going against the clock and maybe feeling a little bit of that internal pressure and working through it in a safe and controlled environment in training so that it comes naturally to you on race day. And then, of course, once the weather gets a little bit better, I'm talking to you in late April right now, probably in about another 4 or 5 weeks, we can look forward to getting in the open water as well. Our bike focus over this block will continue touching upon some VO2 max efforts, since VO2 max really is the first physiological metric that starts to come down if we're not constantly reinforcing it. And that's especially important for our masters athletes. So really anyone 30 plus, I consider to be masters. And so a big percentage of our athletes and our coaches as well fall into that crowd. So we'll continue touching upon those high power efforts, but the overall priority and the overall focus will be mainly on building out longer efforts and threshold intervals, and preparing for 70.3 specific riding. And so overall volume is going to increase in this block. I mentioned that because it's really important that as our volume increases, we're also reflecting that with our fueling and with our recovery needs as well. And so especially the long rides are going to get a little bit longer now because we need to be prepared for not only a 90K ride, but being able to run efficiently after that as well. And so, as volume increases, make sure you're staying on top of fueling before, during, and after workouts, and adapt your recovery needs as well. So, maybe you need a little bit extra sleep after these long training weekends, things like that. So, consider all of those things as we are starting to ramp up training a little bit more. So by the end of this block, 2+ hours at race effort in your TT bars should feel smooth. It should feel efficient. You should feel ready to roll to run off the bike. And then, of course, this is a big one that I really believe in, and it's one that honestly is easy to get missed these days with Zwift and with virtual riding being so easy from a time standpoint, from a logistical standpoint. You can look outside, it's kind of cold and raining out right now, and the trainer probably looks a little bit more appealing. But I really encourage you to push yourself mentally a little bit over these next few weeks to get outside, even when weather's not ideal. And of course, safety is the number one concern, but you know, it it might be raining on your race day. It might be heavy winds, it might be really hot, it might be really cold. And so try to expose yourself to that a little bit in training so race day isn't the first time that you go through all that. And work on some handling skills as well. And so whether that's just basic drills in a parking lot before your first outdoor ride, or choosing some more technical courses for your long rides where there's some high speed corners, there's some ups and downs and things like that. Try not to neglect those things. Those are all just as important as the specific power intervals that you're trying to hit. It's all about getting from A to B as fast as possible on the bike, and handling and confidence are a huge, huge part of that. And then our run focus, since we built a strong and efficient engine over this last training block, we're now going to leverage that speed and that running economy into strength and resilience over longer efforts and challenging terrain. And so we'll be doing more hills and more strength focused workouts during the week. Long runs, we'll be hitting some long intervals over rolling terrain to practice holding a strong and consistent effort on the ups and the downhills. We'll be doing some progression workouts where we'll be getting faster as we go later into a workout. And we'll also be incorporating some brick workouts as well, starting with just easy social runs off the bike, but gradually progressing that to race specific efforts and even going above race effort off the bike so that when it comes to race day, we're feeling confident and we're in control when we're getting off the bike in the race. Midweek workouts will be a little bit more focused on threshold, so not quite as high speed, but we'll still be touching on those speed maintenance things through strides and short intervals, hill reps, things like that. So we're not going to neglect our top end speed, but our overall focus is becoming strong and powerful over very terrain and longer efforts. Strength and mobility focus. So we're maintaining two strength workouts per week. These are very efficient. They shouldn't take you more than 30 or 40 minutes tops. If they are, then reach out to myself or Coach Adam to get some tips on it. The goal over this next training block will be maintaining strength and power during race season. And these workouts are really designed to keep you healthy and resilient as training ramps up. And then along with that, our mobility sessions, which are designed by Coach Kyle, are specific for endurance athletes. These again are short sessions, and ideally after a hard swim, bike, or run effort. And consistency is really key with these. So some days you won't feel great doing them, some days you will, but the goal is just getting them in regardless of how you feel, knowing that building consistency with both our strength and mobility will not only get us stronger and more mobile, but it will also allow us to perform better. And from my perspective as a coach and a lifelong athlete, these are the big foundations to just having longevity in the sport and in life overall. So just being healthy and resilient human beings beyond just being athletes. So please prioritize your strength and mobility. And even if you have to shorten a swim, bike, or run workout to get these sessions in, please do so. I don't want these to be the last thing on your priority list and then get missed throughout the week. So by the end of this block, the goal is that we will be comfortable and confident with long intervals in the water, whether it's in the pool or open water. We will be powerful and efficient time trial machines with strong pacing and handling skills on the bike. We'll also be strong and fast runners who are resilient over challenging terrain and off the bike. And we'll also have our pacing and nutrition plans dialed in for race day. However, even when we have our plan, we also want to be flexible with that. So we'll have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C based on how you're feeling on the day, on weather conditions, and all those variables that race day brings. So as always, questions, comments, trying to meet up with fellow athletes outside of our regular workout times, use the Facebook group chat. We'd love to hear from you. We love seeing when athletes are connecting, of course, in our group workouts, but we know that you can't always make all of them, and so we love seeing people, making informal meetups as well, just so there's always that social and community element to the training. And if you have any specific questions on training, on performance, on equipment, things like that, feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is coach.rpower@gmail.com. And then finally, we have a survey live. We'd really like to hear from you, both in terms of how you feel the workouts have been going this past 3 months with myself as head coach and with some changes with the club overall. We want to know that you're happy with it. And if you have any concerns, any issues, any things you don't like, please let us know. And then part of that survey is we were actually already looking ahead to some 2027 events, which sounds crazy since 2026 has barely started from a racing perspective. But as a coaching group, we would all love to see, 20, 30 plus LP endurance athletes at the same races. And, I think it's a little bit late this year. Everyone's kind of set their goals and their priorities, and I love that. But if we can plan for next year to have a couple really big priority events for the club and have a ton of us at a handful of the same events, we want to make it happen. And so let us know what your favorite events are, what you're excited for, what your goals are, and we're going to try to line up some great events for you for next year. So that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your involvement with this amazing club. Like I said, we want to hear from you, and any questions, reach out at any time. Thanks, everyone.